They say mirrors don't just reflect light, they remember it. That's a quote I stumbled upon once, a line from some obscure book, and it's never quite left me. We look into mirrors every day, checking our hair, making sure there's no spinach in our teeth. We trust what we see. But what if that reflection, that perfect copy of you staring back, started to remember more than just your face? What if it started to remember things you never did? This isn't just a story about a mirror. It is a story about what happens when your own reflection decides it doesn't want to be a copy anymore. Myra was your typical college student, broke, stressed, and desperate for a place to live that didn't cost a fortune. She finally found one, a small, slightly run-down apartment on the edge of town. The rent was a dream, almost too good to be true. The landlord mentioned the previous tenant had left in a hurry, abandoning some of their furniture. "Saves you some money," he'd said with a shrug. Most of it was junk, but there was one piece that stood out. A tall, ornate, full-length mirror with a dark, heavy wooden frame. It was beautiful in an old, slightly unsettling way. The first few days were normal. Myra settled in, buried under textbooks and instant noodles. But then the night started to feel strange. It began with a sound, a low, almost imperceptible hum that seemed to fill the room. She'd turn off her laptop, silence her phone, but the hum remained. After a few nights of searching, she finally traced it back to the source. It was the mirror. When she pressed her ear against the cool glass, the vibration was undeniable, like a quiet, sleeping energy was trapped inside. She tried to ignore it, chalking it up to the old building's weird acoustics. But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. That unease started to grow. One morning, while brushing her teeth, she caught something odd in the corner of her eye. Her reflection blinked, but it was just a fraction of a second slower than she did. She blinked again, watching intently. This time, it was perfectly in sync. She laughed it off. "Too little sleep, Mayra," she muttered to her reflection. But it kept happening. The delays became more frequent, more noticeable. The girl in the mirror was lagging, like a bad video call connection to another reality. The real terror began one evening. She'd had a long, exhausting day of classes and was staring blankly into the mirror, her face a mask of fatigue. And then the reflection's lips curled into a slow, wide smile. Myra's own face was still, her mouth a straight line. She froze, her heart hammering against her ribs. The smile in the mirror was confident, almost mocking. She backed away slowly, her mind racing. Was she hallucinating? Was the stress finally getting to her? That night, she couldn't sleep. She decided to try and document it, to prove to herself that she wasn't going crazy. She set up her phone to record, pretending to go about her routine. She stood in front of the mirror, deliberately looking away towards the window. Later, when she watched the footage, her blood ran cold. On the screen, she was looking at the window, just as she remembered. But her reflection was turned, its head angled, its eyes staring directly into the phone's camera. It knew it was being watched. That was the final straw. Myra couldn't stand the sight of it anymore. The next day, she grabbed the thickest, heaviest bedsheet she could find and threw it over the mirror, covering it completely. The room instantly felt safer, the oppressive presence gone. For the first time in weeks, she felt a sense of relief. She thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. That night, she was jolted awake by a sound. It was 3 a.m. and the air thick and silent, that there was something else. A faint scratching whisper. It took her a moment to realize where it was coming from. Under the sheet covering the mirror. She crept out of bed, her body trembling, and pressed her ear close to the fabric. The whisper was clearer now, a dry, raspy voice, like dead leaves skittering across pavement. It was saying 2 words, over and over. "Don't hide me." A wave of pure, primal fear mixed with a surge of anger washed over her. She'd had enough. With a guttural scream, she ripped the sheet off the mirror. The whispering stopped, but what she saw in the reflection shattered her reality. It wasn't her own terrified face staring back. The mirror showed her bedroom, but it was dark, as if still night. And in the bed, under the covers, was her own sleeping form, peaceful and still. But she was standing right here, wide awake, in front of the mirror. Her reflection was showing her where she should be, not where she was. The thing in the mirror wasn't just copying her anymore. It was rewriting her reality. The next morning, Mrs. Gable from next door was taking out her trash when she saw it. The old, ornate mirror was propped against Myra's apartment door. A massive crack spiderwebbed across its surface, originating from the center, as if something had tried to break out from the inside. She knocked on Myra's door, then she knocked louder. There was no answer. The landlord was called. The door was opened, but the apartment was empty. Myra was gone. All her things were still there, her textbooks open on the desk, a half-eaten bowl of cereal on the counter, but Myra had vanished without a trace. The police were baffled. The cracked mirror was taken in as evidence, but it was just an old mirror. It sat in an evidence locker for years, forgotten. Eventually, it was sold off at a police auction, passing from one unsuspecting owner to another. They say the crack has slowly been healing itself over the years, and now a new legend has begun to circulate. People who buy the mirror, who hang it in their homes, start to notice something. When they glance into its depths, sometimes just for a second, they see a young woman standing behind them in the reflection. She's not there when they turn around, of course, but in the mirror she is, and she's always smiling. What happened to Mira? Did her reflection pull her in? Did it take her place? Or is she now a part of the mirror, forever trapped, waiting for someone else to look in? Maybe some reflections don't just remember, maybe they steal. So the next time you look in a mirror, watch closely. Make sure the person looking back is really you. Thank you so much for joining me on this chilling tale. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more dives into the unknown. Let me know in the comments what you think happened to Myra. Stay safe and always check your reflection.